that time of the morning. We're starting off a little later this morning, and understandably so. There's a million and one things on our plate. We definitely have to practice our multitasking around this time. So I guess it's understandable. But I do have an awesome young lady who's on the line with me right this moment. She is, of course, a beautiful St. Lucian who's been doing her thing, and we're going to get to know her a little bit more this morning. Let's go on over and say good morning to the guests. Good morning, Rovin. You told me the right thing, and I think, did I get it right?
Good morning, Mareen, and good morning to St. Lucia. It's Rovin.
Rovin.
Yes.
So it's not Rovin, it's Rovin Fevrier.
That's correct.
All right. Well, since you're already on that note, we're going all in, girl. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Who is Rovin? Where were you born? What was growing up like? What were you like as a child? What were some of the aspirations growing up that you had in your minds back then? Were you miserable?
No, I wasn't.
All right, so tell us about where were you born? Where were you born in St. Lucia?
So I was born right here in St. Lucia, Castries, St. Lucia, and I'm part of a family of 4, my mom, my dad, and my younger brother, who is currently a nurse, so he's an essential worker doing his thing out there. And as a child, I was fairly quiet, introverted, but I was very serious when it came to my academics, and I had a passion for dance. So
Ooh.
I actually was a member of Crystallites Dance Academy, headed by Christine Samuel.
Ooh.
Yes.
Wow.
And when
Auntie
I moved on
Christy.
to St. Joseph's Convent, I took part in various activities. I was part of a number of clubs, in particular Young Leaders, also the Spanish Club, because I love languages.
Mm-hmm.
And when I moved on to A-level as well, I continued to pursue that passion of languages in studying Spanish. I also studied economics, business management, and language and communication. So overall, I would say I am sort of an introverted person. I'm very friendly, but at the same time, I have a passion when it comes to women's health and how women can create opportunities for others.
Wow. And you understood you had that passion from that tender age, or?
It's something that grew, I would say, later on at SGC.
Mm-hmm.
And once I was diagnosed with endometriosis, which I suffer from, we're going to speak more about later on.
Oh, yes.
I realized that I need to play my role. There's absolutely no support system here in St. Lucia.
Well, it's the first time I'm even hearing about this. I don't know what it is, so you're definitely going to have to go in depth with me a little bit later when we get to that. But, wow. Okay, so you started realizing that you had to play a part.
I had to play a part. However, when you have a chronic illness or one that is a reproductive illness, it's not easy for you to put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, following my studies at A-level, I worked at the bank at RBTT, and then I was awarded a scholarship to study in Taiwan.
Okay.
So, of course, while I was in Taiwan, I was a bit hesitant as to whether I should go ahead and start this whole association for women with reproductive illnesses, because at the time I felt like maybe people would look at me differently. It's a bit personal. I need time to accept, first of all, that I have this condition.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow. Siblings? Any siblings?
I have a younger brother.
Okay. Is he all right, or this was only you battling this as a child? You
Well, my family has always been very supportive, I must say. The way in which I was diagnosed was that when I was 20 years old, I discovered that I had an ovarian cyst.
Okay. Okay.
And so I had to have emergency surgery. And I remember when I got the diagnosis, I was like, endometriosis, what is this? I had never heard of this before.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, my doctor did not explain to me at the time what is this condition, and I had to start doing my research. And instantly, I felt devastated.
Oh, when you started to do your own
Yes,
research.
I felt devastated. Mainly because...
But before that, we definitely, we coming into that. We got. I suspect we've got to delve into that really deeply there. But before that, I mean, what was growing up like? Were you a normal child growing up? Because you said that happened, the diagnosis happened at 20 years old. So before all of that, you were living a normal life?
I would say that I was fairly normal. I always suffered with painful period cramps.
Okay.
Like if you're close to me, you know that's not anything new. But I always managed it. I took my painkillers. And at the time, it was not severe to the point where I was missing school.
Okay.
Yes, so I was one of those who felt like, okay, I have period pain. It's normal because I was told it's normal.
It's normal, right. Right. So what was school like, though? What kind of student were you at during your school time?
I was very much into my academics. I'm not a sports person.
Okay.
That is not my field. And again, I always had an interest for business subjects. So at SJC, I was in the business class. And overall, I was a good student.
What would your friends say about you now, if I were to meet some of your friends from back then?
I think they would say that, one, I'm someone that is very determined and ambitious. I set my mind on a goal and I try my best to achieve it. At the same time, I'm very empathetic. So I'm that friend you can call if you have anything going through, any issues, and I'll try my best to advise you. And also, I think they would say that I'm very loyal.
Okay.
I'm a very loyal person, so I will stick with you till the end.
Wow.
Once you don't cross me.
Okay.
Yes.
I heard you. I feel you. I see you. So when school was out, when you were not in school, what would you find yourself gravitating towards? What was some of the things you kept that kept you occupied?
Okay. Again, at the time, I was involved in Crystallized Dance Academy. So I spent a lot of time dancing, performing, and I'm somebody I love to read.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time reading novels, watching a lot of documentaries, participating in a lot of voluntary activities. Based on how I was raised, it's something that my parents instilled in me to help others. And so I carried that on. Even when I was in Taiwan, I was part of various voluntary groups. Yes.
Wow. And what was it like having a little brother around? It was just the two of you?
It was just the two of us. I mean, I always wanted a little sister, but I have a younger brother, and we have a fairly good relationship, even though he feels like he's the boss of me.
He's a boy. He's got to protect
Yes,
the sis, you know.
But we have a good relationship, and I spent a lot of time overseas, so I know that even though I wasn't there for him, I tried my best to give him guidance and support. And now that I'm back home, I think we've become even more closer.
Wow. This is amazing. I'm going to take a word from our sponsors, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about what you went on to study. First, we're going to delve in a little bit more into your diagnosis and what it meant for you and, the career path that you chose following then.
Okay.
All right, so we'll be back in just a bit. If you're just joining us, this is Radio Caribbean International. It's She Speak, brought to you by the Bank of St. Lucia. And my guest this morning is, tell me again, Rovin?
Rovin, that's correct.
I got it. I got you, girl. Rovin Fevrier is my guest. We'll be back.
We dream of having our daughter in our first home.
I dream of reuniting with my dad.
I dream of dropping my daughter off at school every day.
I dream of finding the cure for cancer.
I dream.
From dream to reality, Bank of St. Lucia, all the bank you need.
And we are certainly back. So, this diagnosis, 20 years, when you turned 20, there comes this diagnosis. Now, you said it yourself when you heard about it. You didn't know what it was. And I personally, I'm trying to Google up to see what really is. But, who's best to explain to us what it meant at the time and how did you handle that? First off, how did you handle the news that this is what you were dealing with?
Well, I would like to think of anyone who's diagnosed with any chronic illness, they go through what I would say a number of stages. So with me, the first stage was one where I felt relieved in a sense because finally I had an answer as to why I was experiencing such painful pain.
All right.
On the flip side, I was in a state of shock because now I'm looking at this diagnosis and I'm looking at all of the symptoms and how it will affect my future. So it
What
was hard
really,
for me to
before you
grasp.
go on, what really is the endo, can you say it,
Endometriosis.
endometriosis? What really is this?
So
What
to
is
put
this?
simply, endometriosis is when you have tissue similar to the tissue that lines your uterus. It grows outside of your uterus and amongst your reproductive organs primarily. Okay, so it can even grow on your bowel, your bladder. In some rare cases, it can be found on your lungs and in parts of your brain, but that's really rare cases.
Wow.
Yes.
Who does that inhibit you from being able to have children?
Yes, it does. That's one of the main symptoms, infertility, and this was the one which really bothered me because currently I have no kids, and I would love to become a mother in the future, but most women with endometriosis will experience some challenges of infertility. It does not prevent you from conceiving,
Right.
but you may face some
It is
challenges.
high risk. It is very high risk.
Yes,
isn't it?
you would be high risk. That's correct.
Wow. Oh my. So
And apart from infertility, you experience symptoms such as pain during sexual intercourse.
wow.
You experience chronic fatigue, which I had to battle with when I was pursuing my master's. It was
Wow.
not easy. You have lower back pain, you suffer from migraines, you have nausea, you flip in between constipation and diarrhea. So
Wow.
it is a full body disease, and some doctors are actually debating whether or not it is an autoimmune. But more studies need to be conducted.
Wow. Whoa.
Yes.
That's quite a lot. And
It's
then you
quite a
learn,
lot to
you're
digest.
20 years old, learning that this is what you're faced with, this is what you're dealing with. So what was the course of action from then for you, mentally and otherwise?
Mentally, like I said, I was relieved, and then I was in a state of shock. But back then, my symptoms were only heightened when I had my period. So once my period was gone, I was basically back to normal.
Okay.
However, right now, I can tell you that I experience symptoms throughout the month, whether I'm on my cycle or off my cycle.
Ooh.
Sometimes when I ovulate, I would experience bleeding. I have bloating all throughout every day. Some days it's worse,
Wow.
where I may look like I'm expecting, and I'm not exaggerating.
Wow.
Yes, so that has shown me that the disease has progressed.
Wow. How, boy,
It is a lot to take
it's
in.
a lot, isn't
I
it?
know 30 minutes is not enough time.
To talk about this, I know, right? Wow. So
Yes.
what? So now that how are you dealing with it? Are you
So currently-
mentally prepared? Are you because you went on to study
Yes.
study about it. So let's talk about your studies, and probably that's one of the ways in which you are now able to handle how you're dealing with that diagnosis. So tell me about your studies. Going into your studies, what did you do?
Okay, so I pursued a bachelor's degree in global politics and economics, as well as a minor in international tourism management, and after which I went on to do my master's in international affairs and strategic studies. So ultimately, my background is international relations and diplomacy.
Okay, so it doesn't relate to any of
It
this.
does not relate at all.
Oh.
So right
wow.
now, I'm kind of at a crossroads because I'm trying to find a way, how can I combine the two? Because now I've become so passionate about reproductive and sexual health. At the same time, I'm passionate about political science. So I'm trying to bridge the two together.
How is that coming along for you? Are you seeing any breakthroughs where that is concerned? Are you finding any way that you can successfully make this happen? Do you have a pitch in your head as to how the two can work?
Right now, I'm thinking of sometime in the future, possibly pursuing a master's in health diplomacy. Yes, to bridge the two. So that's what I'm focused on right now, but I'll see how that goes.
In the meantime, though, the lack of awareness of that particular what is it? It's not a disease, is it?
It is a disease.
It is
actually.
a disease.
It
Okay,
is.
I didn't
Yes.
want to say disease, but
Some persons don't like to refer to it as a disease,
Yeah,
so we
it-
can just use condition or illness.
Condition sounds better to me.
Right.
Right. So what is your thought? How do you see it? Have you been doing any advocacy in terms of, or would you like to probably start something where people are more aware? Because we see every time we've got cancer, we have Cancer Awareness Month, we've got diabetes,
Right.
we've got these awareness, all of these little things that we normally raise awareness to.
Yes.
But this particular condition, we have not heard of in our past, but it doesn't mean that we don't have it.
Right. And actually, before I move on to ways in which I'm trying to raise awareness, I just want to mention some statistics there for our listeners. There are 1 in 10 women suffer of endometriosis, and on average, it takes 7.5 years to get a diagnosis.
Wow.
Okay, some women, they get a diagnosis way up until they're in their 40s, which is, to me, ridiculous. And also, we have to keep in mind that there are 4 stages of endometriosis. So we have stages 1, 2, 3, 4, and the stage of the condition does not correlate with the pain level. So I could be at stage 1 and I could be in excruciating pain, whereas I could be at stage 4 and have absolutely no pain symptoms. Okay, so this disease is really a mystery. Yes.
So what does it mean? What does it when a doctor is saying to you that this is what you've been diagnosed with? What is the conversation like? What do they go on to add to this?
Well, based off of my experience, I'll be honest with you, I did not have a conversation with my doctor. He just simply, at the time, he handed me a brochure and he said, well, this is the condition you have. That was the reason why you had to undergo surgery for your ovarian cyst.
Wow.
And that was it. And in many cases, women are complaining that there is a lack of connection and communication between patients and gynecologists. Wow. And in St. Lucia, I must say we have a few gynecologists who are well versed when it comes to endometriosis. However, we have some that, for some reason, they lack a lot of knowledge, and it is very worrisome to me. Because as a gynecologist, I would like to think that you would have information on a reproductive issue. So patients
so that you think you see the need to discuss it with the patients in depth.
Yes.
Since it's such a critical sort of condition.
So many patients, they have to go online, do their research, and you're kind of left facing a blank wall. Like, what am I to do? There's absolutely no cure. And I just want to put out there that a lot of persons, especially in Muslim society, they put out there, if you get pregnant, your symptoms will diminish. No, that is not the case.
Wow.
If you have a hysterectomy, then you'll be cured. There is no cure for endometriosis. I'm going to repeat, there is no cure for endometriosis. What we can do and what I have been doing to manage my pain symptoms, because currently I am not on any medication. When I have my monthly cycle, I simply take painkillers. I've chosen to pursue a holistic lifestyle. What does that mean? It means that I have to forego dairy. I have to forego foods that are inflammatory, which is basically a lot of what we eat has a lot of gluten. So I have to consume non-gluten foods. Although yesterday,
so these measures helps.
It does. It does help to reduce the pain symptoms. However, it does not solve the problem in treating the disease effectively.
Ooh.
Okay, so it's all about improving your quality of life.
Wow.
Yes.
This must be so frustrating. A young lady, you'd like to have kids. Does that scare you that you probably will never be able to?
It does. It's something that plays on my mind consistently. But I'm a very positive person. I have become a very positive person because back then, I'll be honest with you, I was a bit pessimistic. Simply because at the time, I didn't know many persons with the condition. I mean, most of my friends, they don't suffer from period pain. So who can I turn to? Who can I have a conversation with? And that's why I started this group, this online group, so that women have a platform to share their stories. And I just want to note that endo awareness, we do not only raise awareness on endometriosis, we also raise awareness on PCOS and adenomyosis.
Right. Someone just sent me a question, Val, because someone says to me, Mareen, I suffer with this and it is really not easy. And they actually went on to tell me to ask you what is the relation between endometriosis and adenomyosis.
Now, adenomyosis, it's normally termed as the stepsister or twin sister of endometriosis. So remember I said earlier that endometriosis is the tissue which grows inside the uterus lining.
Right.
It grows outside. In the case of adenomyosis, it grows inside the uterus. So if you have a hysterectomy, then that is a possible cure for adenomyosis. But the symptoms are similar: heavy periods, bloating, chronic fatigue, pain during sexual intercourse, infertility. In fact, many women with adenomyosis, they're at a high risk for having miscarriages because they're not able to carry the pregnancy full term. So that's another condition that, unfortunately, we don't have enough time to cover.
Yeah.
But yes, it's very similar to endometriosis. And I have met some St. Lucian women who have all three conditions.
Wow.
So you can just imagine what they are going through.
We need to create more awareness to these conditions because they clearly they do exist. Look, someone is on my platform already letting me know that they actually is suffering from this. So it's not just you. It's not a one case in the whole nation. There's actually other people out there who are suffering from this. How does that affect your relationship life, your personal life? How does this condition, how important it is to find persons, or is it even easy to find a partner that is on the standard of this sort of?
Currently, I'm not in a relationship, but back when I had a partner, I would say for the most part he was supportive. However, I would get statements being made like, "Oh, you're always in pain," or "Something always wrong with you." Or you're complaining. You're complaining. That's something, if any males out there, please support your girlfriends, your wives with this illness. It's not easy. We need your support. But it wasn't bad, but at the same time, at times I felt like I was not contributing enough to the relationship because I would be tired. I would be exhausted.
Well, that's the thing. I'm saying now, the fact that you're not currently in a relationship, do you normally go through these mental battles where you think that, listen, this thing is never going to work out for me? Do you go through these mental battles?
I do think of that. I also think of the possibility there will come a time where I would have to tell my partner, I may face issues with infertility.
Wow.
In the beginning of a relationship, you'll find persons will be supportive, but when reality sets in...
True that.
And as I said, my symptoms, they're bad, but they're not to the point where I used to miss work or, I wasn't able to go out socially. But I know of women who have had their relationship broken because they were not able to have sex, for example.
Wow.
And sex plays a huge role in a relationship, in intimacy.
Ooh.
So you can well imagine what they're going through. You feel less of a woman. You question your existence at times. The suicidal rate amongst women with endometriosis is very high.
Wow.
Because you have to look at the mental aspect of it. When you're dealing with a chronic illness, there's no end. You're dealing with it every single day.
Wow.
And in our community, we have something called flare-ups. So a flare-up is simply when your symptoms are heightened, and that can happen at any time. You're not given any warning.
Oh.
Yes. So you can wake up fine, and then by the afternoon, you're bawling in pain.
Oh gosh, this is not good. It's not good at all. So what do you want to say? Because time is, like you said, half an hour is not enough time. Hopefully when all of this blows over, if it does, we'll have some time to probably go more in depth on that condition, because we probably need to focus a little bit more to create more awareness as far as it's concerned. So probably we'll find some time where we can come in, maybe not a part of Sheet Speak, but in general, you probably could come in and have a chat with us, because you seem to be very well versed. You did quite a number of research, it seems.
Yes, I'm always doing research. I have to. It never ends.
Yeah. Look, Auntie Christine is saying that you're such a beautiful soul.
Thank you, Auntie Christine.
So, somebody's asking, wait, we will get to that in a while, but we definitely got to wrap up. But what would you say to persons in general out there, persons who are unawares? You have probably dealt with personal issues where people don't understand what is happening with you, and they think that, like I said, the boyfriend before thought you were just being, you were just being a little Julie and too softy and too, when you were going through these periods. What do you want to say to persons out there?
What I want to let St. Lucians know is that for a long time, we have really placed a stigma on discussing menstrual health issues and reproductive health issues. It's still a taboo subject. And we need to remember that having a bad period is not normal.
Right.
It is not normal. No way, shape, or form you should be going for excruciating pain monthly. That is not normal. And I would appeal to parents. If your young teenage daughters are coming to you and they're telling you, Mom, Dad, I'm having painful periods, do not dismiss them. Do not tell them, oh, that's something you have to go through in life. Everybody goes through that. No. Take them to the doctor. Get an assessment done. Check it out.
Check it out, because there is such thing.
Yes.
Wow.
Also, because we have limited time, if persons want to get more information, they can check us out on Endo Awareness 758.
Okay, that's a website or
Instagram page.
Instagram. Endo.
Yes. Awareness
Spell it,
758.
please. Endo, E-N-D-O.
Yes, Awareness.
Okay.
758.
Right.
Yes.
On Instagram.
And we cover endometriosis, adenomyosis, PCOS. So many young women suffer of PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, as well as fibroids, infertility. And at some point, we are going to have a name change, one that is inclusive of all of the conditions. Right.
Rovin, you are definitely an inspiration this morning, and we are happy that you are able to, come on over and spend some time with us, share a little bit more, and it create some more awareness as well, because a lot of us we're not aware that there's actually a condition out there like this. Probably a lot of us are still going through the motions where we are thinking it's just period pain, and we don't think that we need to check it out. But I think you may have very well created an avenue for persons who have been experiencing those kind of pains to probably now check themselves and figure out, maybe I should go and check my gynecologist and see, to make sure that I'm not.
Yes, you have
risk
to be proactive. With these conditions, you have to be proactive.
Absolutely. Rovin, thank you again. Thank you for being part of She Speaks. Thank you so very much for sharing that with us.
Thank you,
and hopefully
Mareen.
we'll be able to chat some more. I think we really need a focus next time around where we can just focus on that condition.
Yes.
All right?
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, love.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor.
All right.
All right, thank you. So Rovin Fevrier, that's our guest. That was our guest on She Speak this morning, brought to you by the Bank of St. Lucia. We're already 6 minutes after 11. When we come back, we go into one full hour with the compliments of KFC. It's finger licking good. Plus, we must wrap up with a word from our sponsor.
We dream of having our daughter in our first home.
I dream of reuniting with my dad.
I dream of dropping my daughter off at school every day.